Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle. Surprise!
I have a real soft spot for evil.
Blood flying everywhere.
So good.
I'm a big boy who doesn't get scared.
Out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
Sup, and welcome to Chuddle the Pod, a horror movie club where horror movie lovers have a feel-goo time. On this show, we explore what we like or dislike in the genre we love by asking and answering the same questions about a different movie every episode. As always, we'll warn you before we enter the spoiler zone, and in this episode, we are chuddling the invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Boom, 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 boom.
1956. Yes.
How do I know it's you?
How do you know?
Because you
I'm
were
not
laughing.
me?
You were laughing. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is.
No.
Got all the human emotions. Don't worry.
That's true. Okay, good.
We're smart. Replicating better. That's Ross. Ross, hey.
Oh hey, human Sam.
Oh hey, human Ross. So good to have you here. And this
It's
totally
glad to be
human
had.
location.
Absolutely human. We are not in a pod field.
I don't even know what that means. Speaking of not in a
Yeah.
pod field or just not being here, Bry Guy, not here again. If you're a regular listener, you don't follow us on socials or anything, I'm sure you noticed Brian hasn't been here for a little while. Recently, episodes came out bi-weekly. This is the first one we've recorded since then. They're going to stay bi-weekly. Brian's absence will continue. He's still in our Discord. You can talk to him there.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably be giving us some ratings as well. Brian is stepping away because his wife has cancer, and he is supporting her. We are supporting them. We love them both. This is probably the most we'll ever talk about it because public sincerity makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So,
right, yeah.
but I wanted to say it at least once on the pod. And having said that, let's go ahead. Well, Ross, you have something to say?
Well, I was going to say, you're still going to feel Brian's velvety touch because he edits every episode.
That's true.
So it's done with TLC and love. Again, like I said, if you want to say hey or drop him a line, he's kind of like the ringmaster of our Discord. So he's usually in there. So we love you, Brian.
Hi, Brian. Before we continue, we must take this moment to thank our coven of patrons. Your sacrifice gives us life. We thank your beautiful souls. Our whole Patreon's changed now that we're scaling back. We dropped the whole thing down. Just $3 a month gets you all the episodes, all the participation we have, all that stuff. And that's going to remain that way until there are changes.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. It's nice. It's like a flat membership fee. You know what I mean?
It's club dues is how I like to think
club
of
dues.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you get if you get that? You can vote on movies we cover in the cycle, although we're talking about changing how that might work. But you definitely get bonus episodes. You get our back catalog. Bonus episodes, we do non-horror movies, Chuddle battles, gnarly history, creepypasta, mailbags, weird news, all sorts of stuff. What else? Vote in on themes. So
Yeah.
lots of fun stuff as a club member.
Oh, yes. You get your own exclusive Discord oasis.
That's true.
For other coven members.
And you get a witch name.
Oh, you do? Ooh, yes, you do.
Now, with all club members present and the coven avowed, it's time to crack open that goo book and officially begin tonight's meeting.
Give me that goo. Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and do the things we need to do, which are totally not about drugs. Brian, play the drop.
Let's do some lines.
This is a tagline or logline and tagline. I didn't realize people would take it in such an awful, depraved direction.
Oh, did you?
I did not. Logline. A small-town doctor learns that the population of his community is being replaced by emotionless alien duplicates. Yeah,
Pretty on the nose.
Very on the nose. I mean, everybody kind of knows what it's hard not to know that's what it's about going into it.
Yeah.
But if you somehow didn't know, very spoilery, you learn all this stuff as the movie goes. I'd rather just be like, comes home where people don't think they're people are people.
Other people. People are people, so why can't... Sorry, I'm just getting into Depeche Mode.
But I mean, it nails it, yeah. To the point. All right, I got a bunch of taglines. Most of these, I believe, came out after the movie. And I even checked the original poster. I can tell you which two. Oh, that'll be fun. You can guess which two of these were on the original poster and which ones came after. All right, hit me. First one. The original black and white classic.
That one's not on the original poster.
Yeah, you're so smart. It is not. All right, no fooling you. It'll get trickier. Even this one, who knows? Don Siegel's science fiction shocker.
Not on.
That's right. I'm just going to run through them. There's actually a bunch of them and no time for all this fun games.
2 minutes? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Oh, fine.
But basically, there was no real tagline on the original poster. One said, Walter Wangers creates the ultimate in science fiction. And the other said, Collier's magazine called it the nightmare that threatens the world.
Ooh.
And then all the other ones are after. The original nightmare that threatened the world, which I guess kind of pulls from that. ... There was nothing to hold on to. - except each other.
Bum bum.
They came from another world.
Dun dun. Yeah.
Something is happening. Send your men of science quick. The panic-stricken cry went over the phone to Washington, D.C. until the lines went dead. ...
Wait,
that was all one big one.
Literally,
something is
that's one giant tagline.
Yeah.
That's a tag paragraph.
Yeah, too much.
That's too much. Although would be hilariously funny to read in very tiny text at the bottom, because you'd be there for a solid 35 seconds just trying to decipher it, super tiny, like Willy Wonka's contract's tiny.
I probably wouldn't even notice. It may have been on the original poster then.
It probably was. It's actually the whole border.
Yeah. And last, this one, seems like it would have actually been good at the time. Incredible, invisible, insatiable. Because you kind of don't know what it means. You're like, if this movie is brand new and you don't know what you're getting into, I think that sets the table well.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, movies are made by people, and the people that made this movie are... This movie was written by Daniel Mainwaring, Richard Collins, and Jack Finney, and it was directed by Don Siegel. The movie stars Kevin McCarthy as Dr. Miles J. Bonnell, Dana Winter as Becky Driscoll, Larry Gates as Dr. Kaufman, King Donovan as Jack Belichick? We'll say Belichick. Carolyn Jones as Teddy Belichick, and Gene Wiles as Nurse Sally Withers. There's quite a few others in there. Those are sort of the main ones that we meet. Really, there's sort of a core 4 plus 1 maybe, or 2.
Yeah.
Do you know any of these people?
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, Carolyn Jones is OG Morticia.
That's right.
Adams from the Addams Family. And Kevin McCarthy's been in a bunch of stuff, but my favorite thing that he has done is obviously UHF with Weird Al.
Oh my God.
He's in that movie as the executive, and it is such a ludicrous fucking movie.
It certainly is. I don't remember what that scene in particular. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's impossible to be in a scene in that movie and not have it be a ludicrous scene. That's how ludicrous that movie is.
Oh, 100. Yes, absolutely.
And then Don Siegel, the director, has directed a ton of movies. 50, according to IMDb. But later did
Dirty Harry?
Dirty Harry and Escape from Alcatraz, among others.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe Jack Finney was the author of the novel that this was based on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's check the clock. What time is it?
It's time for the gore.
Fatality.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, Psycho to the Sadness. How gory is this film, Ross? Now, I know you and I often don't see eye to eye. You think a movie's way gorier than I do. So I'm real curious where we're going to land on this one.
I think that we have plopped directly into Psycho scenario. I mean, like, I don't know if I want to give this like a full goose egg.
I don't want to give it a full goose egg either.
I would say maybe,
but I'd give it like a
1 and a 1, so a 2.
I was gonna go a 0.5 and 0.5.
A 0.5, so like a 1.
And even that seems high. I'd like to go 0.25 and 0.25 for 0.5.
No, I could see a 1 for this because I think there is enough in this movie to constitute some kind of.
There's a little bit of blood,
but.
There's
a little bit of like pod death.
Yeah, we see stabbing-ish insertion.
Ooh, that sounds.
I can't think of the word.
So okay, I guess it has to have 1 for the insertion.
Sure. So I'm good with 1. I mean, this is 1956, so amazing that it has.
I mean, there are
1.
some. 1, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some movies out that had some craziness in it, but like this is palatable to the times. Like you get a little wild 1 or 2 scenes, but nothing super crazy.
Next drop gets played.
Who is the horror forward?
Starting with, what subgenres does this fall into? Sci-fi?
Absolutely. Sci-fi.
Even though it's one of those like earthbound sci-fi things, you know what I mean? When you think sci-fi, you probably think aliens or futuristic or something. This is very much like just people.
Just people. But I think this is
on Earth.
We haven't necessarily. Well, I don't think we've ever covered a movie like this before. I mean, like Whodunit's kind of knock on that door a little bit, but this is like, to me, it's an identity horror. Like this is the people aren't who they really are. You don't know who is what. It's
you don't know who to trust.
Yes, very much so.
It's like a conspiracy thriller in a way.
Yep, because like you deal with. I mean, again, a lot of them are invasion style movies, and I guess this would be an invasion horror film.
Yeah,
obviously. But like, yes, it's things like The Faculty, or honestly, when you kind of get a little more into the creepiness factor of this is a 50s movie with an like. I had this idea in my head, not to go off tangent, where it's like you have a run of the mill science fiction horror movie for the time, but with like an insanely A+ concept.
Oh yeah,
and I think the concept constitutes, because we get a remake of this in 76 or something like that.
I'm not entirely sure. It might be like 73.
Yeah. But then, I mean, we get nods of this in like, I don't know, we do The Faculty.
There's some other remake
like,
too, just called like Invasion or something.
Invasion. Yeah. But there's a lot of ones that kind of take.
Honestly, you could remake it now. The thing about the story is to me, it seems like
it's primordial. You know what I mean?
You can always find a way to apply it to whatever's going on to modern society.
Oh, 100%. So that would be the genre.
Oh yeah. So the subgenre, black and white, classic,
classics, as in like this is a golden age of cinema, classic.
What kind of environment is best to watch this in?
I would say for your
nice
first
quiet night.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah,
popcorn.
You don't need to try and be scared or anything. But
no,
it's a movie. To me, and this is probably just an age thing, but a lot of older black and white movies are I sort of think of as like chill watches, like if I just want to lay back and watch something. And the great thing about a lot of those movies that stand the test of time is it is the concept and the dialogue and stuff like that that allows it to carry on, because obviously cinematically it's often way smaller and just not what we're used to as an audience.
Totally. You got to make up for the limited cinematography. Well, actually, I take it back, because there are some amazing shots in this movie. There's
some pretty good ones. I was noticing it on my second time around. Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, I think with a lot of these classic films, they are very dialogue driven.
Right.
And you really have to be kind of like, I would almost say like this is definitely not it could be a party movie, you know what I mean? Like under the right circumstances, but like
for nerds,
everyone would have to have seen, well, for like, this would be your 5th time watching it, party movie, you know what I mean? Or 6th, you know what I mean? Like you'd probably have to see this a few times to be comfortable with the plot enough.
Right. I mean, it's a dialogue driven movie, you know, pretty much entirely.
Absolutely.
Is it for beginners?
Yeah. This is
definitely.
This is his entry level, like baseline.
I wish I had seen it as a kid. It's something I've thought, because as a kid I watched a lot of black and white movies because we rented movies from the library a lot, and I totally would have been into this movie had I known about it. Oh,
completely agree with you. I mean, like this is one of those where even as when you watch this movie, again, with the Gorometer being at a 1, it's very digestible. You know what I mean? I think what gets creepier is the actual concept of the movie. That like when you marinate on it.
Oh,
I think to me it's way creepier than what the film portrays it as. You know what I mean?
This whole thing this would be a good freaks me out. This is like I definitely have a thing for this.
Ooh, good.
The not knowing who to trust. People aren't themselves. Yeah. Should you know anything going into it? No, it's kind of impossible not to know, because there have been so many remakes and cultural references. You've probably heard of pod people.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to escape. I don't think it ruins the movie knowing that. Although it would have been cool to get to experience that once of not really knowing what's happening.
Not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. Ross, do you hear that fapping?
You mean that fapping? Fapping upon my chamber door?
Oh, that
fap. Oh, looks like I gotta clean that door.
Yes, you do.
I really do. Yes, the Mothman has cometh and left and didn't even clean it up. This one I don't.
Not that I can particularly think of.
Not really. I mean, like the only thing I would say is it is a 1950s movie, so there is this kind of like
air of misogyny, but there's nothing like nobody gets hit or like
nothing. There's
never
super over the top.
Overly, but it's just kind of societal roles being played out as they were at the time.
Yeah. Lingering fart smell.
Yeah. Great. Well, let's buckle up, Buttercup.
Spoiler zone.
Starting with the IMDb behind the scenes. During its original release, papier-mâché pods were on display in theater lobbies, as well as a black and white cutouts of Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winter running frantically away from a crowd of pod people.
Ooh.
I love old marketing so much. I would have loved to see like these big pods in the...
What was the fucking movie? Was it Matinee? I don't know. There's a few movies that touch on the fact of like the advertising that happened in the 1950s.
It might be Matinee.
For get people in the but like they would build like ginormous like ants covering the building.
Oh, they did so much cool stuff. They Scream 2, the beginning of Scream 2, that's what they did.
Yes.
That is what happened then.
To
Scream
like
2
that would be a normal
back
event.
To that. Yeah.
Yeah. There are a few theaters that will have like kind of more of like a jamboree style hangout. But I mean, like the closest thing to me that you're going to get conventionally now is going to be like going to see like Rocky Horror Picture Show or
Sure, yeah.
you know, something like that. You know what I mean? Like that's the closest. But yeah, can you imagine going to a theater already sketched out as a kid and then just seeing a bunch of pods laying all over the theater?
Or you go to see the movie and you come out and to those.
There's pods everywhere.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Freak yourself out, all that stuff. So much fun. All right. In 1994, this film was selected for preservation in the U.S. National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. So whenever I see that, I just like to include that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Seems important.
Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy and author Jack Finney have always denied so we haven't even brought this up yet. Famously, this movie is about communism or the Red Scare. People being blacklisted. People said it was, the whole thing is a secret metaphor for that on the side of, anti-McCarthyism, but also McCarthyists viewed the movie as being on their side against. It really can be interpreted either way depending on which side you think is right as you watch the movie.
Absolutely. Well, I think that I think the big theme that we kind of touch on is like an us versus them. And it's such a primordial
it's all
thing.
Otherization type of stuff.
Yeah. Where it's like, but in this one where it's like, just as a person, no matter what side of that argument you were on, you're sitting in the theater, especially when like you're being like feeling the idea of being ostracized or hunted down and things like that, where it's like either side could portray themselves as the main character in that movie. And I think that's a very interesting like psychological concept when you have like an us versus them, especially like a pod person film.
Absolutely. So back to the note here. Kevin McCarthy and author Jack Finney have always denied the rumor that the story is a statement against McCarthyism and communism. They just saw it as a thriller. Director Don Siegel, however, believes that the political references to Senator Joseph McCarthy and totalitarianism are inescapable, even though he tried not to emphasize them. Screenwriter of the film, Daniel Mainwaring, had brushes with the Red Scare witch hunts, which lends credence to the theory that it's a subtle statement against McCarthyism. Dana Winter agreed with that sentiment, although she didn't recall the mention of any political statements on set. Mm-hmm. Kevin McCarthy believed the film to be an attack on Madison Avenue attitudes. And director Don Siegel joked that the pods represented the movie industry executives.
It's such a fun, like, having a concept as base as this in a good way. It's like it just reflects a mirror.
That's really what it does. Absolutely. Because I really do think, whatever you believe, you just see it through that lens. And because of the whole us versus them otherization side of things.
Yeah, weird, man.
So it makes it universal, and yet
this is how I know you're not a pod person, man, because we're having this discussion, man.
It makes it universal and yet hyper specific to the individual, which is kind of interesting. The urbane, genial producer, Walter Wanger, was liked and respected by everyone involved. However, Kevin McCarthy later said he had the impression during production that director Don Siegel, despite the glowing words he had for the producer in later years, thought Wanger was more diplomatic than effective in his dealings with the front office on issues as the humor, the title, and the additional scenes. I think he may have called Wanger a pod if the two of them hadn't been partners, McCarthy said. Yeah, we're going to learn some interesting things in a second. Yeah. I'm really curious because there are a few aspects of this movie that I feel were like brushed upon, but not fully developed. And I don't know if that was because they weren't allowed to kind of go through what happens to the human hosts after they get Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like things like
Totally.
that, where I'm like, because you can get real fucking gnarly with the answer to that. And I feel that in a screenplay, they probably had some kind of answer for it. And then having like, yeah, we can do some chuckles. And we want you to do this, but like, we can't actually say that we're murdering.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they do. Well, we'll get there. This movie was filmed in 19 days. The cast and crew worked 6 days a week with Sundays off. The production went over scheduled by 3 days because of night shoots that director Don Siegel wanted. So it's supposed to be done in 16 days. This was like a super low budget movie.
Oh yeah. But I mean, also like the production time back in the day was like
they'd turn around
Like,
stuff
they would get
so
full
much
movies
faster.
done.
You'd make a couple movies a year as a director.
Wild.
During test screenings, much of the film's original humor and humanity was cut when the audience found it difficult to follow and laughed at all the wrong moments. The studio insisted on edits because it wasn't policy to mix humor with horror. So this was essentially like a horror comedy originally.
Man, I want to see that cut.
Right?
Because there's probably some gold in that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if this is like God damn it, if this is like the granddaddy of horror comedies,
It could have been.
like that would explain so much shit.
Unfortunately, it's not. Maybe the next remake they'll lean into the comedy.
Well, comedy, yeah.
The biggest problem director Don Siegel and company had with the studio was over the use of humor. Oh, here we go. We'll expand on this more.
All right.
Writer Daniel Mainwaring and producer Walter Wanger had scripted scenes with humor in them, and Kevin McCarthy said the actors improvised some during shooting. When the film was still in the work print stage, Siegel and Wanger decided to try it out in front of a preview audience behind the studio's back. Much of the humor was still in the film at that point, and the audience response went from shrieks to screams to laughter and back again. Siegel had sneaked a tape recorder into the theater so they could prove to the studio just how great the reception was to their rough cut. However, Allied artist head Steve Broidy hit the roof when he found out and wanted to know why the audience was laughing in places. He ordered any trace of humor removed. And that is the film we got.
Oh my God, dude. And this is the one we get.
Yeah.
God, there's gotta be, man, that's the holy grail for me now. Like, I didn't know, like, honestly, like London After Midnight with Lon Chaney would probably be like the erased film from history, shy of like the few stills. You know what I mean? It's like, God, if you could ever find
movies
there's
like
a lot
that,
of them. But if there's a working print of that, I love to see it. This is now my grail. Like, if there is a like rough cut of the fucking
horror
comedy that is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, get the fuck out of here. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, someone
Although
has to
we
have
did
a
say
copy
it
of
was
that.
1956, maybe all of a sudden it's ruined.
That's true, yeah.
If one thing doesn't age well, comedy is often victim to that.
Yeah, but like, yes, oh, absolutely. I don't know though. Like, this feels like this would be almost like,
Unless it's like Screwball or
yeah, like Marx Brothers shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm picturing. Where it's
Zany.
like, yeah.
they're just bopping one doppelganger after another. Kevin McCarthy didn't particularly like the script because he felt that in streamlining the novel for the screen, the depth of character was lost. He thought that it was a mistake that these fairly sophisticated, educated characters had such bland dialogue and manner of relating to one another, quote, lacking the curves and nuances that you often hear in conversation of ordinary, mature men and women, unquote. Only reason I included that is because I really like the dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think he's wrong. So suck it.
Yeah.
So the book that it's based on is called The Body Snatchers, and these are all the titles, working titles they had. They come from another world.
Yeah.
Better off dead.
Ooh.
Sleep no more.
Okay. All right. Mhm.
Evil in the night. World in danger.
Meh.
And then finally, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
That's the one.
The Body Snatchers is just such a great phrase on its own. It sounds scary. Like, what does that mean?
Well, snatch is like sudden.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it
Where it's
certainly
like-
implies like, what The body is not a willing participant.
Yes.
Years after the film, Dana Winter received a message on her answering machine at home. The message was from Kevin McCarthy, and he said, "Hi, Becky. This is Miles. Stay awake, won't you?" The pace of shooting meant there was little time for actors to rest between takes of the exhausting chase sequences, and there was no time to discuss scenes. Dana Winter said the actors were always responsible for mentally rehearsing their characters and actions before jumping in front of the cameras, which is insane.
Which is fucking nuts. We have 16 days to do this. I just need you to jump in front of the fucking camera.
I just need you to think about it, and then when we call you, do it.
And do it.
Kevin McCarthy would later... Oh, okay. Here's some trivia for you. Kevin McCarthy would later reprise his role as Dr. Miles J. Bennell in two movies. Do you know what those two movies are?
Okay, so so one is the Sutherland remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
1978. I have the year now.
1978. And then the second one is in the 90s. No. What's the second one?
It's from 2003. Looney Tunes back in action.
What?
Yeah. Apparently, if you were to watch that movie, you would see him as Dr. Miles Bennell. So,
wow.
Didn't think you'd get that. Thought it was hilarious that was the other movie he appeared in as the character.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting close to the end of these. Don Siegel later claimed that during the film, he crept into Dana Winter's house and slipped a pod under her bed, causing her to become hysterical when she found it. That is a bit far out, Winter replied when she heard Siegel's account. Actually, he left it on my doorstep. He had a girlfriend who lived next door to me, and he would pass my cottage all the time, and one night, he just left it on my doorstep. Fun little movie prank.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. I like the fact that he elaborates, goes, no, I didn't leave it on the front. I broke into her house. Then I slid under the bed. It's like, no, you just left it.
Right. The irrational belief that someone they know or recognize has been replaced by an imposter is called Capgras syndrome or Capgras delusion. So it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I find the whole concept freaky. I mean, it's supposed to be, but it bothers me more than other things. So, 8 actors in Invasion of the Body Snatchers would be future stars in The Twilight Zone. Kevin McCarthy, Larry Gates, Gene Wiles, Virginia Christine, Everett Glass, Dabbs Greer, Pat O'Malley, and Richard Deacon. Even Don Siegel would direct 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Twilight Zone.
One of the best fucking shows on the planet. Ever. Hands down.
Allied Pictures is affectionately referred to as the Roger Corman-like studio of its day, and they acknowledge its low-rent nature.
I like probably just underneath the studio, we're just okay.
Yeah. All right, last ones. The film originally ended with Miles J. Bennell on the highway shouting to the people driving by, "You're next, you're next." However, Allied artists wanted a happier ending that would assure the audience the hero's efforts were not in vain. So scenes were added to the opening to show Miles in a hospital recounting his story to other doctors. And then at the end, when the doctor hears him and, tells him to contact the FBI, all of that was added as a studio note.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So it would have just started with him returning home and things being weird and him screaming on the highway.
God, that literally changes the context of the whole. Because I mean, the whole thing wraps up not nicely, but it makes a whole lot of sense because the ending that turns it around happens so fast within the last 30 seconds of the fucking movie that I was like, no, everything's fine. Don't even worry about it. It's fine. The government will take care of everything.
Now, I don't know much about the novel, but This is just what it says here. The film abandons the novel's ending of the aliens giving up on their world domination plot and returning home, which is crazy to me that's how the novel ends.
Right. But it's probably some like
more like a retreat
expose on, or no, not even a retreat. We're just like, man, we thought we wanted to replicate you, but you guys are such vicious, wild, insane animals that we just don't want to become you. And having an entire species just leave the planet, you're like, listen, I know we're fucked up, but we're not going to turn into you guys. Like, you guys are more fucked up.
Way more fucked up. All right. Only thing I do want to mention, there were a ton of them that talked about Don Siegel referring to studio executives as pods. And that really cracked me up. He really has quite the disdain.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, look what they did to his movie.
Right.
Like, it's hilarious. Where, like, it's like you literally, he wanted to do a horror comedy. He does it. Apparently, he did it really well. He brings it back to the studio. They literally strip it of all of its funniness, and then it's now too serious. So then they have to reshoot a beginning and an end. Like, how is this not even like his original? Like, this is probably a tenth of what the original movie was. It's a pod. It's a pod replacement of his movie.
It is.
Oh my God. Man, the movie itself is that's not even, is that an Inception type thing? Like, the movie is the weird byproduct.
It's a pod thing, man.
You're blowing my mind, dude.
It's a pod thing, man.
Just a pod thing.
Well, if I blew your mind before, wait till we talk about our history of this movie.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Have you seen this before?
Yeah, I think I saw this as a kid. Probably late kid, early tween. And yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's like it's the opinion of a child. Because my rating will probably be different. This is like a C+ at best horror movie with an absolute A++ concept. And like, it's weird because of the hokiness of a lot of what you would consider 1950s science fiction, low budget,
kind of an episode of the Twilight Zone.
Absolutely. Like this thing checks the box of so many hokey should not work things, but the concept and the idea behind this movie is such a fucking force that it just rips through the entire thing. So like, they could have done this with sock puppets, and I feel like I still would have been creeped out just because of what the content of the movie was.
Do you really?
Maybe. I don't know, man. Like, pod sock puppets? Think about it.
I only watched this movie recently, a few months ago. So it's the early April now. For Christmas, my wife got me a scratch off poster that's 100 horror movies, and you're supposed to scratch it off, and it reveals a little artwork for the movie underneath. And this was on that poster, and I had never seen it. So I watched it, and that was like probably early January. And then I think because of our next movie. What's our next movie?
Spiral.
But that's not the Saw Spiral movie or the other Spiral movie that Curtis David Harder did. This is a Japanese thing, right?
Yes. This is Junji Ito. It's based off of Junji Ito from 2000. Yes.
But yeah, I asked Ross. I was like, I don't know what that is. What's it kind of about? And it was like, it's sort of town goes crazy or something.
Yes.
I was like,
yeah.
I'll do it. Well, I was actually thinking about doing the 78 version because I'm a big fan of that one, but I wanted Brian here for that. Yeah. So I was like, might as well cover the original.
It's just an OG, baby. And I will say this though about the 78 one, is that I did my first time watching the 78 one was doing a back-to-back. So I watched this one and then watched 78, and holy shit balls. Like, it goes from, like, especially since this on the Gorometer is like a 1, and like they cranked up the weirdness and the body horror.
Oh, it's so cool.
In the 78 one. It's so cool, but like, God, my soul wasn't prepared.
Early tween or whatever you said, and you just watched that one. Yeah, totally.
My mind was blown.
All right, let's do it to it. Start talking about this movie, cousin.
Choo choo.
We open on a doctor being rushed to a hospital to see a patient who is also a doctor, claiming that he's not crazy.
I'm not crazy. Somebody listen to me.
Yes, very dramatic. I will say I love the score in this movie. It really feels of its time in a good way.
Yes. Yes. Very like bandstand, very like over, in a good way, over the top.
Yeah, melodramatic. Something was wrong. So he begins, he's like, somebody listen to me. I'm not crazy. The guy's like, well, I'll listen to you. He's like, all right.
Yeah.
He's like,
what do you got to say, buddy?
Yeah.
What's going on over there?
So he starts telling his story. He was away at a, doctor's convention, comes back to town, and everything looked the same, but something evil had taken a hold of this town. Our storytelling doctor here, Kevin McCarthy, Dr. Miles Bennell, arrives back in town by train. His nurse tells him that a married woman he used to know wants to see him, and actually a bunch of patients want to see him. And they're driving back. He almost hits a little boy with his car. The boy ran out in front of his car.
I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. Get out of here.
He didn't want to go to
It's
school.
like grandma's chasing after him. And then, it's, man, this is like, maybe it's because we already know what's going on, because obviously like the spoilers already spoiled for us kind of beforehand. But like this is a barbarian level of red flags going on simultaneously and start escalating throughout this. And then to have the doctor as calm as he is on most of it is hilarious.
I feel like barbarian amount of red flags means different things to us. Or maybe you just see red flags more than I do. Because I'm just like, yeah, why would I? Why would I look at it more than the most obvious answer, surface level, whatever's happening thing?
Oh, no, it starts with the, oh, you have all these patients. Oh, BT dubs, nobody needs to see you right now. Hey, what about this? Oh, no, this is totally fine. And then like walking around like, well, all these people just to think that everyone is the same. Like,
right,
at that
I guess
level of like,
I'm always going for like the most logical solution type thing. Like I'd just be like, well, there's got to be some reason for all this. It would be my whole thing, which in any horror movie would oftentimes would be my downfall, but it is what it is.
At least you know what your horror movie Achilles heel is.
Oh yeah, if life were a horror movie, it'd be troublesome. But
do you know what mine would be?
Thinking everything's a red flag and not doing anything.
Just not doing a damn thing. No. See, I'm the dude that's gonna try to hold the door 10 extra seconds more than it should be to try to get the last person in, and then I'm gonna either get just iced. You know what I mean? Like trying to close the door, I get nuked. Hopefully someone, you know what I mean?
You
like,
die heroically. Wow. Really
no. Like a putz. Like half the time it would just be the door open by itself and I'm just staring in a different direction.
You'd be any of the college kids in Tucker and Dale.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Kid runs into the road, doesn't want to go. Notice the produce stand is closed. He's like, that's strange. About a couple weeks ago, it was the cleanest and busiest stand on the road. But, things change or whatever. He goes back to his office, his practice. That's where he finds out about all the cancellations. Becky Driscoll, the married woman he used to know, shows up. She's there because she's worried about her cousin. Her cousin's under her delusion that her uncle is an imposter.
What?
Yes. Miles walks Becky out. So I didn't get this at all. I forget where I learned this. But on their way out, he says something about, I understand you were in Reno. And she was like, oh, yes, something. And she was like, and I heard you were there. And he was like, yeah, about 5 months ago. And she's like, sorry to hear that. And move on. And at the time, that was basically their way of telling the audience that they were divorcees. They were married. Reno is one of the few places you could go for like a cheap and easy divorce. The only reason they would have gone there would be to have gotten divorced. So that is why. Because I was like, wait, so they were just married?
A really clever.
They're married, and I was confused. I was like, people seem to not mind that these married people seem to be clearly having an affair with each other.
Yeah. Well, it's that weird, like, this is also, I think, the same time era where like every married couple had to have 2 twin beds in the in the bedrooms. You know what I mean? Like,
so they couldn't say that they were divorced.
But like, what a clever tongue-in-cheek way of addressing the fact to the audience,
right? Without
having to explicitly say, "Ooh, good on you." 10 points, Invasion. 10 points.
I thought they were just like making fun of Reno. Like, oh yeah, I was there 5 months ago. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Like, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, you know, these things happen. So, and we learned that they were lovers long ago. I think they were high school sweethearts. He walks her out, comes back to his office. Jimmy Grimaldi, the boy he almost hit with his car, is there. The boy is swearing that his mom is not his mom and that she's going to get me. Send Jimmy. Jimmy was right there by the grandma. They're like, you take him for a few nights, give him these pills, call me tomorrow.
Yeah, stay at grandma's place. I also, just give him a slight sedative. Okay, so here's a bunch of pills. Just shove them in his throat.
Yeah, he's like, give him 2 of these every 4 hours and call me tomorrow. Like,
oh my God. It's 2,000 milligrams of morphine. It's just
the time like where, like, if you needed medicine, the doctor was like, well, what do I have here?
Liquid cocaine.
There you go.
Also, like, okay, so I'm also mildly confused about, like, the doc. Okay, so I understandably that he is traveling, he comes back to town, right? This is like his main practice. What happens while he's traveling? Does this town just not have a doctor, or do they have to go to like?
No, they mention it's like one line because when his nurse, when she first tells him like all these people want to see you, he's like, well, why don't you tell him go see Dr. So-and-so? That's what you're supposed to do while I'm gone. And she's like, well, they only want to see you. And so I think what that is actually saying there is that it's the people want to see him because they think people are imposters. Those people might already think that doctor is an imposter, which is why they don't want to see him and only want to see Dr. Bennett.
Exactly. Like, yeah, that's a really good point, because like, obviously I was like of 2 minds about it, where it's like all these people who got sick and then canceled, obviously they got turned, but it's like, were they actually sick and then they were turned into pod people? And then obviously the pod people aren't sick anymore. So they're like, no, everything is fine. Like, right. Imagine like having a broken leg and then getting turned into a pod person.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
So now Miles goes with Becky to convince her cousin that her uncle is her uncle.
I've had a full conversation with him, and he's totally who he says he is.
Yeah, he's your uncle, all right. She's like, no, the light in his eyes, it's not there. He doesn't look at me the same. I mean, it seems like
something in his voice.
His memories. It's this and that and the other, and it was probably because all this AI art has been happening. There's been the recent explosion with the Ghibli thing and ChatGPT.
Yes.
That's been on my mind, that I was like, everything she is saying about why her uncle isn't her uncle is the argument for AI art not being real art. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It
absolutely
replicates it. It can fool you. It has it. It looks like it. It presents as it, but it's not it. It doesn't have the
there's no soul.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a very, I have no notes for me on that one. Absolutely.
And so I thought about it a lot on my second watch. Once that came up, and like I'm like, you could remake it now as an attack on AI art. or like the whole
Or just
generative
or artificial
AI,
intelligence in general.
generative AI in general. You know what I mean? When
Totally.
it's not an assistive tool, but it's just
Well, I think what's
creating something by
a
stealing other
really
shit.
frightening concept is that like for most like people, we kind of have this like underlying we can understand the uncanny valley as in something that's not perfectly human but not completely alien, you know what I mean, where it's like
Right.
when someone tries getting a likeness, it's like this uncanny valley of like, okay, that's not it, but it's definitely not it.
Mhm.
And then like having this ramped up to like this is 99.9% what it's supposed to be, but it's that thin and only people that you're close to would catch it. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll tell you
especially
right
in the
now,
beginning
there's
of this movie.
AI art that when it's like art, as in it looks drawn or done, painted,
Oh,
that style.
I mean, I was talking about the movie, but I understand.
Okay. See, isn't that crazy the whole time?
It is, but it's the whole time you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, no, because but I mean, same thing could be applied to AI art. But I think that with this one, where it's like the uncanny valley for the viewer is so narrow that the normal consumer, normal person around them wouldn't catch it. But it's someone that you have to be like intimately known, as in like your wife or like your mother or father or kid or something around those lines, where it's like it'll pass from everybody else, but if you actually have a main connection, especially in the beginning of this film, is that like the pod people mimic humor and they mimic certain
they seem
things.
warm enough. I mean,
enough
when we towards the end, when we know certain characters, like it's revealed,
when they say they can't
still
they can't
seem
have emotion
like
or love.
relatively human though as they're saying it. You know what I mean? They seem or maybe it's
they're not
almost
robotic.
like that Stepford thing of like that, like, oh, welcome, you know, like
well, it's not as robotic as you would think of like what conventionally or the movie's predecessor like before it talk about like someone's being a replica would be like, oh no, I am a human. You know what I mean? Like this is like passable. This is very passable to the point of like, oh no.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that whole doppelganger thing in general is just it's freaky deaky, man. It's freaky deaky. Is this our first doppelganger movie? No. Well, I mean, there was that one little story, the Changeling story in the Christmas horror story.
Yeah.
I think beyond that, this might be it. All right. So they try and convince Becky's cousin that the uncle's the uncle. She seems wary, but they leave. They're like, I'll get you a doctor's appointment with a psychiatrist tomorrow. He's basically like, listen, you got to come to the terms with the fact that is your uncle and this is all in your head and the problem's inside you and you need to figure it out. I'll get you a doctor's appointment with a psychologist.
It was such like a God, his character is so confusing to me sometimes because like sometimes he's incredibly compassionate and then like there's certain lines he's like, hey, I just want to let you know it's all in your head and you need to get over your shit.
Yeah.
You're fucking up and you just don't do that anymore. How about have you tried
tried stopping?
Have you tried stopping? Where it's like you condescending piece of shit.
So now Becky is driving Miles is driving Becky home. Says it's a shame they can't have dinner, but they can. So they make dinner plans. Now they're walking into the restaurant, almost get backed into by a car. Oh, what do you know? It's two other doctors, and one of them just happens to be the guy that Becky's cousin needs to see tomorrow. So he sets her the appointment. He's like, oh, let me guess. A son who says his dad's not his dad, and a brother who says his sister's not his sister. Somebody's like, not the same family members, but close enough. Yeah, what's up? And they're like, oh, we have this mass delusion going around town. It's real strange. Can't figure it out. I'm like, oh, that is strange. All right,
mass
I'll see you.
delusion.
Yeah, put her on the book tomorrow. Bye.
Later. It's you know, I think at this point, I think this was kind of the pinnacle.
Contagious delusion. That's what they call it.
So like he's already seen this delusion firsthand. Now he's talked to the psychiatrist who is apparently it's widespread. And then he gets his favorite hangout. And then apparently this is the scene where they show up to the restaurant and there's no one at the restaurant.
Right. Yep.
Because people have been showing up for weeks.
2 or 3 weeks now, yeah.
This is where like the spidey senses on the back of my neck would start tingling. Because at that point you're like, okay, so I'm either in the hot zone for a mass psychosis break.
But I mean, think about what your mindset is if you're Dr. Bonnell. You just told this lady, like, it's all in your head.
Shit.
Yeah. Deal with it.
I guess he's walking the walk when yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. You want me on that one.
So, yeah, as you said, restaurant's empty, no band, so they're going to dance on the jukebox, get an extra dry martini. When they get a call, medical emergency. So Becky and Miles have to leave.
Uh-oh. I will give credit where credit's fucking due. It's a 1950s movie. I was literally waiting for them to knock back 2 martinis and then go driving. I'm pleasantly fucking surprised, like very pleasantly fucking surprised that he had the temperance to be like, you know what? No, I'm about to hop back in the car. Hold on to those martinis.
Very good point.
I was aghast, honestly. I was like, God, what? This movie was supposed to be funny and actually had adequate morals.
Probably had nothing to do with driving. It was more like, I gotta go see a patient.
Yeah, that's true.
So they leave. They arrive at Jack and Teddy's house. When they get there, Jack and Teddy both seem perfectly fine. Why are they there? There's a mystery. So Jack's like, all right, come in, but you can't call the cops. I need you to just come check out what's going on. It's like, all right, let's see. So they go in the room, lay it out on a pool table covered by a sheet. There's a body. They unveil it. It's a corpse. It's a man with a vague face, almost as if he wasn't finished being sculpted yet or something.
Yes. No fingerprints.
Yeah. I did like the no fingerprint thing too. The way
it's like a oh God, I'm not even want to say fetal because that's not the right choice of words, but it's like it's this it's unsculpted clay. Like it's like
or nearly.
He's gloopy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, at this point, you're a man of science. Okay, now all of this crazy shit has been going on, and then you find like this weird naked mole rat of a corpse. Like next, like wouldn't this be the pinnacle point where you're like, I should probably phone something in. Like I know my buddy just said not to call the cops.
Well, what are you gonna phone in? I mean, people think people don't look like people, and we found this. Well, if anything,
I'm just saying that you have a corpse with no fingerprints.
Yeah, he should have totally phoned it in, but it's good he didn't.
100%.
So they take a drink break, going back to the alcohol consumption of the time.
Yeah. God, I need a drink.
Yeah, Jack's making everybody a drink. When Teddy's like, Doctor, how tall would you say he is? He's like, I don't know, about 5'10". He's like, and how much do you think he weighs? I don't know, about 140. Why? Jack's 5'10" and weighs 140. And this like freaks Jack out so much that he like drops a glass and cuts his hand. It's like, cut it out, Teddy. Why do you talk so crazy?
Get out of here.
Miles treats his hand and he's like, listen, you guys watch the body. Nothing changes by morning, call the police. If something does change, call me. Back at... Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know.
What is he expecting?
What? Yeah, like what? Give me at least the hypothesis of what you're doing, because like that point you're just like,
what is he getting out of this? Yeah, or them? Because if like why? Well, the police are going to think I'm crazy if I call them here to be like, look, doesn't this guy look like me? And he's just like, no. I mean, everybody will be on the same page, right? Other than the fact that some of them have been body snatched, but they don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's like a video where I'm like, just say that you think
I'm sure they have like one line that somebody says really quickly that we've both missed. You know what I mean?
Or it got edited out.
could have been edited out, or it was something of the time that like she was like, well, we got to keep this green or else the flies will wasp around, or that we don't get, like the Reno thing. I couldn't make a good example of it, but that's what I was trying to get at. All right. Call me if something changes. They leave. I don't have it in here, but I think this must be when Miles takes Becky back to her place and drops her off, and they run into Becky's dad. They're like,
Dad,
what are you doing?
Why are you in the basement?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, just working late.
Just doing some night digging in the fruit cellar.
So that happens. Back at Jack and Teddy's, we get this shot that's like up close on the face with Jack and Teddy in the background at the bar, and now the face of the body really looks like Jack, and we see his eyes open. Teddy notices this and walks over and sees that it now has the cut on the hand that Jack had, and she screams and is like, we got to go. And Jack kind of is like, let's look, and she's like, no, we are leaving, let's go. And I think the second time I was watching it looked like he was kind of dozing on the bar there, like with his head in his hands. So I think that's why it was coming to behind him.
So now we're knocking at the door of
how does this work?
Yeah,
like I don't know.
Is because I think they
would he have died? Would he have turned to dust automatic? Like would his body have just died because now it's some sort of soul sucking thing? I don't.
It's like the conscious. Well, it could be a lie too, because the pod people were explaining like, no, like we take your consciousness and we put it in here, and then now you're this, which basically just means I'm going to memory wipe you, and then like to me, it's like the original person's dead. Yeah,
it's like I'm gonna download your brain and put it in a robot. But it's you. That's still you.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Do you wake up as you, or is just a version of you wakes up?
Well,
and
the
then
confusing
just starts
part
doing shit
to me is what happens to your original body.
I think because
you wake up
they
in the
got
pod,
kids
right?
involved. Because the little boy goes to the thing like, all right, no, this is fine. Now they involve kids in the movie, where I feel like there might have been a point where they're like, well, we could just show a dead like feet or something like that. But then if you imply that every person that has turned the original person is dead, that means the whole town is dead. A whole lot of dead kids. Too many dead kids for 1956. But again, I don't like how obtuse they are about like what goes on, because it's maybe scarier because it makes your imagination go like, what happened to the originals?
Right.
Like, I don't.
They head over to Miles' house. They arrive, explain the situation. Miles calls Dr. Kaufman and asks him to come over. Suddenly, Miles feels Becky could be in danger and rushes to her place, but instead of ringing the doorbell, a hunch tells him to break in through the basement. Rummaging through the basement, he finds Becky's clone. He rushes to her room, but she won't wake up, so he carries her out to his car. Back at his place, Becky seems fine. They're all hanging out talking. And the men, Dr. Kaufman, Jack, and Dr. Bennell, are going to go back to Jack's place to show Dr. Kaufman the body. Becky and Teddy are staying put.
As they should.
Yes. They get there. The body is missing. What? There's a little blood spot on the table. Dr. Kaufman tells Jack and Miles that the man must have been dead and it was all in their head. He's like, you could kill somebody with an ice pick and wouldn't even leave a mark. And
a mark.
It's,
this man is rapid firing.
He's selling
logic at these. He's selling it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's been dealing with fucking people in a mass delusion panic for weeks. So this guy is going to be, or to be totally honest with you, at this point,
he's already
not
turned.
100% sure.
I think he's turned from the moment we meet him back in the car. I think he's been done the whole time. Personally. Yeah. So I think this is him just being like, He's gaslighting them essentially.
Well, I mean, it would make sense. You know what I mean? Because
Yes,
like
it
if you're
would.
this structure, is like because like you're going to be going after police. You're going to be going after. Obviously, they went after the farmers and the produce first to grow the pods, and then now they affected all the doctors and
Positions
obviously
of authority.
Yeah.
So yes, I definitely think he is. But that's part of the fun of this movie or the concept.
You just don't know.
Yeah. Get to talk and pick and choose and think about it. Good stuff. So the body's gone. Tells them they're crazy. They're like, all right, well, I saw Becky's body in the basement. Let's go look at that. But it is also gone. Dr. Kaufman continues to tell them how it's all in their
I
head.
like how the dad comes down.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm about to shoot your asses. What the fuck are you guys doing down here?
Oh, don't worry. Just showing them that they're crazy. Okay. And then a cop shows up and he's like,
Out of the window.
Yeah.
I love that he opens the broken window.
And
You big dum-dums, we found a body in a haystack.
yeah, matches your, had its fingers burned off by acid, 5'10", 140 pounds. They're like, oh, maybe I am crazy. And they leave.
Yeah.
At breakfast, Miles and Becky are flirting, and then Jack comes in, asks if Teddy and himself can stay with Miles for a little while. I noticed on my second watch, I'm pretty sure Becky is wearing Miles' clothes in the kitchen. Her shirt and pants are way too big for her. So I think that may have been another small way of telling the audience what happened.
Hey, yes.
That night. Mm-hmm.
Some got weird.
Now Miles is going into work. On his way in, he runs into Becky's cousin. She tells him, hey, I'm fine now. Don't worry about it. He's like, oh, good.
I'm great now.
Could you call Becky and let her know she's at my place? And this bothers her. She goes in the shop and closes it. And Becky's dad's in there and tells her that Becky is still at Miles. And he kind of emotionless takes it in.
Oof, dude. Oof. I think as the movie unwraps itself, you just realize that like, oh no, they've been in deep shit since like they got to town.
Yeah, this probably was starting when he left.
Yes.
When Dr. Bennett left for his convention, is like the pods were growing,
Well, it's like almost like a germ. You know what I mean? Or like a weed. Actually, well, I'll do the plant analogy because they're pod people. But it's like it exponentially, like one of them grew and then they kept on growing and then kept on growing to the fact where like at this point, you're kind of led to believe that predominantly the entire town has succumbed to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, at this point, we don't think the entire town is. It's more like, who do we trust?
Yeah.
Because that's coming soon. He gets to work, and what do you know? Little Jimmy Grimaldi isn't afraid of his mom anymore.
Everything is fine.
Mm-hmm. Now Miles comes home, and they're having a garden party, drinking again.
Mm-hmm.
And in the greenhouse, Miles discovers a big weird seed pod. That's when they see blanks blooming from the pods.
He's fucking the way that it's set up of him like, oh hey, let me just go grab this out real quick, and like they're unraveling in the foreground and like while he's in the background, was just like, oh no. And I will give again credit where credit's due. For 56, there we get goo. Like these things are slimy. And like,
yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what's happening, but it is gooey.
Yeah, it's very gooey. I have a lot more goo than what I thought I was going to get out of this movie.
Mm-hmm. They discuss and realize Dr. Kaufman. Oh, so they're just talking about everything that's going on, and they realize that Dr. Kaufman, Becky's dad, and the cop must all be pod people.
Yeah.
Miles. Oh, yeah. So of course he must have been then. So really, it's just a question if he was back at the car the first time. Miles tries to call the FBI, but the telephone operator Seems to be on it. Oh, can't get through. Try LA. Oh, can't get through. Try Sacramento. Oh, can't get through. Well, keep trying and call me
Sorry.
back.
Here, let me. Yeah, that where you're like, oh no, they've got the phone operator. Of course, they got the fucking phone operator.
Yeah. Oh, you need the phone operator for sure.
Although I do love the the MacGuffin pacing back and forth of like, well, he's like on hold. He's like, this is the most fantastical thing of all human discovery. The science of this, like, where like he's just trotting back and forth, being like, we need to call. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, right. Yeah. To like have somebody else know what's happening.
Yes. The implications are, I just love that, like him pacing back, having to explain to her, like, no, this is really serious. Like the last fucking little bit was not.
Mm-hmm. The pod Becky was trying to steal her mind as she slept. This is also when we find out that when you go to sleep, your brain transfers into the
over to
pod person.
And you disintegrate. No, I don't know.
In the greenhouse, Jack examines the pods, and they're blooming, all 4 of them. IMDb behind the scene. Production designer Ted Haworth was worried that the studio executives would object to the nudity of the pod likenesses. Don Siegel reminded him that Hollywood executives were all pods and as such had no real feeling about anything, including nudity. One executive, however, voiced strong objections and ordered Siegel to eliminate any nudity from the picture. Siegel returned to Hadworth and told him to continue as planned. I was sure that before the impressions were made, this executive would have become a pod too, he said in his autobiography. At any rate, the issue was fairly moot. The pod replicas are revealed under foaming soap bubbles that manage to keep any overt nudity concealed. As with most low-budget movies, the scenes where the pods begin to hatch had to be filmed successfully in one take.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. You're not getting a second take on that.
They all take off, but before they do, Miles stabs, I think, his own body with a pitchfork first.
Yeah, I think it's his own. Yeah.
That was the penetration I referred to earlier. You see it go in his chest. And then the only blood I could think of was the cut hand that we already talked about. Miles and Becky stop for gas. Miles uses a payphone to go around the operator. And the attendants, while he's at the payphone, he sees the attendants do something to his trunk. So when they leave, gets out. Sure enough, they put pods in there. So
we're going out to a call. There was an accident. Well, we didn't hear about no accident.
Right, exactly. And they set the pods on. They go around the corner, pull the pods out, set them on fire.
Okay, also probably done in one take because he pours that gasoline on and then he lights it and then he recoils. He's like, oh fuck.
Probably it was 19 days, supposed to be 16.
Yeah.
They go to Sally's, his nurse. That's like the last person he thinks he can trust, if he can still trust her.
Right.
But he gets there, there's a bunch of cars outside. They're having a meeting of the doppelgangers. Matter of fact, Sally's about to put a pod in her child's crib. So they take off.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh shit. They're going to get the baby.
Yeah.
They could, honestly, I mean, see, this is the, like, dude, it knocks on the door so many times where you're like, fuck, dude, like, this goes so hard. They literally put a pod underneath a crib.
Yeah.
It's like the implications of that alone. I'm surprised that wasn't cut from the fucking
I wonder
movie.
how a pod baby develops, right? So it steals all a baby's memories and recreates it physically. Does it stay a baby forever?
I feel like it's still going to
mature like a human.
Know. Oh no, I don't know. God, could you imagine being just perma baby?
Does it matter? Is it all like one kind of hive mind?
Yeah.
What's the point? How does this even propagate the species by doing this? I mean, I know they're moving like, pods around, but
yeah. Well, maybe they do
being
age,
a human,
but they just replace whatever planet they land on. You know what I mean? So it's like So the planet just goes on living as it does, but they're all now just pod people. And then I'm assuming if they conquered the planet, they would just be hurling pods into space all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What else are you going to do?
With catapults.
It took them a long time to figure out how to get them far enough. There's so many pods just in lower orbit.
There's like a Saturn ring of just pods.
Yeah, exactly. They all take off, but Miles, stabs the person. They set it on fire. So they take off from Sally's, and now there's a bolo out on them. All the cops, good one, or pod ones, not pod ones, doesn't matter because the police put out be on the lookout, so they're looking out. They hide the car in a used car lot and run to his office where they hide the plan out till Jack comes back with reinforcements. They split up with Jack and Terry when they left the greenhouse.
Now this all points bulletin came out, I think that also gives me the EBGBs. Similar thing in They Live, where like you don't know, especially when it's like the police officer, where there's like which one's the pod person, which one's not. Like human beings detaining other human beings.
The not knowing who's what thing really is a big one.
Inadvertently helping out aliens, but not knowing it. Mm-hmm. It's like, I think that's a fear I have.
Well,
yours is replacement. Mine is accidentally helping them.
It can apply with like cult stuff too, where like, or secret societies, you know what I mean? These types of movies where like, it could be the exact same thing where like, the detective's bringing you in, all of a sudden you notice the tattoo on his wrist and you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
He's part of Sam Hain or whatever. All right. Miles watches so they're hiding out in there. They can't sleep. They share a kiss.
Oh,
first time we kiss.
Yeah, I mean,
they take stuff to stay awake too.
Yes, they're just putting they're taking amphetamines, making out, and just hanging out in the doctor's office.
When it comes to the morning, they're like, he's smoking a cigarette. They're sitting next to a pot of coffee, like looking very disheveled.
Yeah, which is kind of like this movie's code for like they absolutely had sex, and they're just hanging out, just banging all day, just waiting to get caught.
Miles watches the town out the window. It's like every Saturday morning, only busier. It shouldn't be this busy at 7:45. Why are they here? They're here to greet a bus. There's strangers in town. The strangers are welcomed and immediately put in the back of a squad car and taken off.
How is that welcomed?
Yeah,
they're literally corralled into
Don't know.
They're like, oh, hey, welcome
there.
to town. You're under arrest.
Now everyone gathers in the town square and a bunch of trucks full up. They're the trucks for all the farms in the town. They unveil what's in back, and it's full of pods. The cops start shouting out which families get which pods from which truck.
And to travel to what towns is also that like, Okay, so this initial scene, because it's shot from the perspective of them on like the third story or something like that.
Yeah, watching out the window.
Is that like watch out the window? It's like this whole town is completely normal, and then like immediately they all stop.
Yeah, it was all a show for the bus.
Oh my god! When you realize that that was just an elaborate ruse for 3 people on a bus is fucking gnarly. And then them all marching like fucking drone ants, and then like just start doing shit was just like, oh god, like the feeling. Could you imagine showing up to a town thinking it's a normal town, and then like a flash mob, everybody stops doing what they're doing and they just all turn and look at you?
Not into it. Yeah. Like in Van Helsing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Nobody wants to be Van Helsing.
No. Hey, guess what? Jack's here. Jack showed up. Oh no, it's a jackal ganger.
It's a jackal ganger?
Mm-hmm. He's here with Dr. Kaufman and more. And they have pods, and they won't leave till Miles and Becky go to sleep. This is where we learn they came from seeds floating through space, can imitate any life form they choose. Jack's like, come on, it's not so bad. Teddy likes it. We're cool. where, there's just no...
Everything is fine. And again, like, it's this weird, and even while they're processing it, it's like, it's so fuzzy, because you're like, is this just a plant person imitating this actual person using the resources of the downloaded database of their brain? Or is this like a mind transference?
Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're joining the Matrix. You know what I mean? They're choosing to.
Yeah.
If you're like, okay, I'll just go to sleep, you're choosing to join the Matrix and live in the ignorance. It's kind of how it seems to me, or the way they pitch it. It's like there's no sadness or pain or anything. It's great.
Yes,
but there's no happiness either.
There's no happiness. There's no love. Where is the love?
I want to have love. I want to have your babies.
I want to have your babies. I want to live a normal life. But I see the sales pitch is what they want you to believe. And I feel that like you as a person blips out of existence the second your brain gets downloaded, and then some weird fucking creature just has all your memories.
I agree.
And just poses as you.
Yeah, that's why they're like, I think they agree with you, Miles and Becky.
Yeah. Where I'm like, no, I don't like that sales pitch. I think the sales pitch is you're going to murder me. You just want to murder me.
I don't believe you.
I don't. Something says I can't trust this person.
So they leave Miles and Becky alone with the pods, but guard the room. Dumb move. Miles stabs Jack and Dr. Kaufman, and Becky stabs the cop in the neck. So some more stabbing,
but no blood.
Yeah, and we don't actually see the penetration on these ones. I don't think either. That pitchfork you see. I mean, it's one of those things where it cuts quickly, like as soon as it goes in, but you see it go in. Yeah, which I was shocked. I could not believe.
Right.
Outside, they pretend that they've changed. They go outside and they're like, all right, we got to be cool. Pretend you're a pod person now. So they run into a cop and they're like, oh, hey. Oh, they didn't tell you? Yeah, no, it's cool. We're on board now. They start walking. And then a car almost hits a dog and Becky screams out. And
how do you blow your cover 30 seconds outside? We were like, hey, I need you to just like.
I'm not going to lie. I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I want to scream. It would be very hard for me to act emotionless watching a dog get hit by a car in front of me. Talk about the ultimate test right away.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I agree with you, but I feel that the fear in a place where every person in this town is also a pod person would override my immediate knee-jerk reaction to scream for them to get out of the way.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, again, I wasn't in your shoes.
Yeah, same. I'd like to think I wouldn't scream, but I do think I probably would have, done something with my body or made something.
Flail?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh no. My body would
just
be saying, oh no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be miming, oh no. And so her being concerned about this dog tips off the cop because he's like, wait a second, we shouldn't care if we kill that dog. So
get her.
He goes upstairs to look inside, finds all the downed pod people and radios in. And this is when the town alarm goes off, like a town-wide siren, like a storm siren, tornado siren type of thing. Mm-hmm. And this is when we get the whole town chasing Miles and Becky. The pair run up some long-ass stairs and then into a hillside as the townspeople chase them. IMDb behind the scene. The scene in which Miles and Becky are pursued up a long, steep outdoor staircase was shot in Bronson Canyon in the Hollywood Hills. The head grip came up with the idea of building a small dolly with wheels that rode on the staircase iron rails ahead of the actors like a train. Which I just thought, I love hearing small little techy things like that, figure out problems, so threw that one in. So they run away. They get up to the top of the hill, start running into the mountains. Run away! And they get to some mining tunnels. In the mining tunnels, Miles noticed they can kind of get under some floorboards and hide in there. And they do. The townspeople come in, can't find him, so they move on.
This fucking shot from underneath,
Looking
of
up
the slats and then going through, such a good shot. Like, I was perplexed when I was like, this is, wow. I'm like, because most of the other shots in this movie, like the third act gets the best shots. You know what I mean? Like the panic on the highway.
The stair thing I was just talking about.
The stair. I mean, the stair. Exactly. Like from the run. Yeah, when they start running is basically all of the great fucking cinematography shots.
Yeah. When the running starts, the shooting starts. Cinematographically speaking.
Yes.
Miles is trying to keep Becky awake when they hear loud music outside the tunnel. Miles goes to check it out. Stay here. I don't know why he would tell her
why?
That.
Buddy system, always. Are you kidding me?
Yes. Unfortunately, the music was coming from a truck at a pod farm. And Miles returns. Becky can't stay awake. He tries to carry her, but collapses. He kisses her.
Right in the mud.
But that kiss ain't Becky. She done potted.
Oh, she done potted.
Mm-hmm.
She took a cat nap and then woke up. Also, how fast is it? Fast acting?
Here's the
acting?
thing. It wouldn't have been the other body that she was in, so the other body was nearby and was able to put on Becky's clothes.
So I'm assuming dragged the corpse
she was
off
just
into
waiting
the mine.
around, right?
Or,
like,
ew.
that's what I'm saying. When
Or
you get
like
into the details of how that works, it gets
gross. Well, because I'm thinking, all right, so pod person wakes up. Now you have this dead mammal corpse that you have to dispose of. What better place than the place where you just hid from the mob? So she just dumps the body in that little crevice thing, naked, and just like puts the slats back on and dresses and acts like nothing happened. God, that's
Becky
fucking
deserved
horrifying.
better.
She deserved a whole lot better, dude.
She turns. She's a pod person. He runs for a busy road, and the town lets him go. They're like, yeah, whatever. Nobody's going to believe him.
Yeah.
IMDb behind the scene here. The last sequence was shot not on the actual Hollywood freeway, but on a little used cross bridge. The cars were driven by stunt drivers. Don Siegel said later that Kevin McCarthy was in real danger of getting hit because the sequence was shot at dawn and he was near complete exhaustion. Because they've been shooting all these running scenes.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So he's just like about to get hit by a car. I guess that's why it looks so good.
He seems like he's near exhaustion. So yeah, he's yelling, they're gonna get us, they're gonna take over, all this stuff. And now it's back in the jail cell, finishing telling his story. Oh, he also, when he's on the highway, he saw like a truck headed to major cities was full of pods. So now he's telling his story. They don't believe him.
All right, buddy, let's get you some medication. Have you tried not thinking about it?
Yeah, have you tried just stopping?
Stopping?
They leave the room and don't believe him, but a man is brought in and the medic mentions seeing huge seed pods and it came from Santa Mira. They believe Dr. Brunel now and start making moves to stop the spread.
Right. Now, is the person who got in the accident in the truck, is that a pod person they brought in? Because I think there was some narrative about like, he has wounds, but they're kind of weirder wounds or something.
They may have had a line like that, and he would have had to been, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Or it makes sense for him to have a line like that.
But how funny, and especially knowing after the fact they had to reshoot the beginning and the end, where it's like literally
shoot them. Not reshoot them.
Yeah, just to shoot them, them in general. Yeah. But just like that, but the idea of just being like, literally it wraps itself up in 30 seconds and then credits is hilarious.
Think about how much bleaker, though, if it's just like, they're all going to get you or whatever he's yelling at the end there.
Well, that's what I honestly really like it because this to me is on par, well, almost on par with, say, like War of the Worlds. Like, obviously it was radio versus TV, but like this is like when it's, I mean, I guess it's a comedy too. So like now I have to put that in perspective.
Well,
would have been. But if the bleaker ending is like such a like actual scary ending. You know what I mean? In particular,
I
because
always prefer a bleaker ending.
yeah, well, especially for the time. You know what I mean? Where it's
Right.
like, God, getting out of that theater, I mean, like, if you had that bleak of an ending, like, that would have been an amazing, like, that would have gone, this is already in its own pocket of, like, cinematic history, but, like, oh, God, I want both cuts.
Would
I
it have
want the
been as
abysmal
popular,
cut
though, without
and
it?
the Chuckles cut.
Yeah, I want the Chuckles cut for sure. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
No, Human Sam, but I think you should have a nap.
Well, I won't. But I have a couple final thoughts. I really just want to say one more time. I know we've hit on it a lot, but I think it's a story that, I mean, this movie could be remade every 10 years and sort of reflect whatever's happening in society. And I think it totally makes sense that the McCarthyists and anti-McCarthyists both saw this as a movie for their side. And
it's a big
really
pod-shaped mirror.
If anybody is maybe listening to this episode and hasn't seen the movie in a long time and is thinking about revisiting it now, really think about it through that auspice of AI arcs. Watching it a second time, thinking about that, I mean,
Yes.
I could not believe how the whole thing just felt like a conversation on generative AI.
Yes.
So
more human than human, man.
yeah. And with that, we can be right back. Here we are. Never went anywhere. Or did we? Little mystery for you. Maybe.
I didn't go to sleep. Did we?
Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. Only way to find out is to go through our crematorium of questions. How would we survive this one? I'm going to tell you right now, I really don't think it's happening. Strong. I'd have to know that it's going on. We've already established that I'd take any reason not to believe that it's happening. And especially the whole sleep factor of it. Just if you fall asleep and you're near your pod, you're done for. I mean,
yeah,
that's a tough
this one is I think the survivability is pretty low. Because if realistically the only reason why our main character did not get turned was because he just got into town.
It got away from that. Yeah.
He got away from whatever this was, and then it took weeks to do. Because like it would, especially the fact like if you're not prepared for it, you're just going to go to bed. You're not checking for giant pods.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then like,
even if you're aware that there's this contagious hysteria going on, you still have no reason not to just go to bed. Like
exactly. Yes. And on top of the thing, everyone has to sleep. So like, unless you're in an area where you know for a fucking fact. Also, what's the range variance on pods?
That's a great question.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, if it's like 50 yards, then you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like no matter what, like, because they could just sprinkle pods.
You know what
across
the
the whole
townspeople
planet.
must have done when they ran in there and were like, "Oh, they're not here," and ran off. They
Threw
probably
some pods in there.
Yeah, if we had seen the screen above, they would have been like motion miming to each other, like, "Shh, they're below. Place pods over here. They will fall asleep." Pods, okay? Oh no, I guess they're not here. Let's go.
Didn't see anybody here. Yeah,
that's what was
so
happening
true.
up there. All right, so yeah, I think you're right. How do we make the film gooier? I mean, you could only do it by a modern version. It wouldn't make sense then, and even because of what we're used to from seeing movies at the time, it'd stand out and be weird if it were gooier.
Yeah, I mean, because like at that point you're using Hitchcock, you know, like chocolate syrup,
Right.
And I feel it would be out of place. I mean, you could. I mean, absolutely. Can you make it gooier? Absolutely. Or I would make it gooier in the fact of like no blood, but you could do some like
More
really
bubbly,
gross,
viscous,
gubbly pod shit. You know what I mean? Like have that where, like,
Bio
the pod
something.
Yes, because like you could almost have it where the pods are also like terraforming around them, so you could have like gooey, almost not like alien chrysalis type stuff like from Alien and Aliens, but like something that's like organic, like almost like Jumanji. You know what I mean? But gooier.
Jumanji, but gooier.
Yeah.
Tell me about Saturday night. All right. Villain level 1 through 10. Power level and iconography. Put them together. I mean, power level is tough. I mean, it is defeatable.
Question mark?
Very powerful. Well, I mean, in theory, let's say you got this at the very beginning. You could have burned the pods before they took anybody over and they'd be done.
It
Once
is true.
you're
Like, there's a difference
if
between
you take out all the pod people and then take out the remaining pods. I mean, it's defeatable in theory. It's still a very tall task.
Absolutely. It just depends on what part of the locomotion. Like if you get it from the beginning, totally fine. Our doctor is in smack dab into acres of pods being done. Like I'm assuming most of
we already lost
California,
a town,
right?
and maybe the surrounding towns. The surrounding towns are certainly under attack.
Under attack. So that means that you have already lost hundreds of people at this point.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Easy. You know what I mean? Where I'm like that again, and what's funny is that like the iconography, I almost want to give, because I mean, like, dude, the pod person.
The pod itself is the iconography,
it's so
right?
fucking yeah. It is so iconic. You know what I mean? But I think that because it can be anybody,
right?
Like it's not the looks of it, it's the idea of the looks of it, because it could be anybody. I'm gonna give that a 5. I think iconography is an absolute 5 for me, and then I would say power level. I'm gonna go with the Horde versus, because that's what we're dealing with is the Horde.
Sure, yeah,
weeks into the thing. I would give it a. It's not godlike,
right?
But it's a tsunami. Like this is a avalanche of shit you've gotten yourself into. I'm gonna give it a 3.5, almost knocking on a 4.
Okay.
So I would say 8.5 to a 9 for the Invasion of the Body Snatchers villain wise.
I'm gonna go 4 on power level for all the reasons said, and then the iconography is so tough because I mean, pod people is a phrase I knew before I ever knew what the Invasion of the Body Snatchers was.
Yeah.
But again, a pod person is anybody, but you know that starts in that pod, but where is it really lie? So I think it has like high cultural strength, but because when you say it, I don't picture something immediately necessarily, at least when we're talking about this movie or this version. So I'm just going to knock off 1 point for that and drop it to a 4. Put them together for an 8. I think you're at 8.5. So we're in the same ballpark.
Yeah. I was like 8.5 to 9. So 8.5.
Yeah.
We have that.
Should it have a sequel? What is your sequel?
No, I don't think it needs a sequel. I think we need to see what the fucking original movie was.
I want to see the original movie, but I am honestly down for infinite remakes. Yeah, I'd be down for a limited series or a 4 or 5 episode or season thing. Like if you try to do a prestige TV telling of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I'd be down for that.
I would love like a 2-part TV series, one set in the 50s where it was a failed attempt. Like it got thwarted.
Oh, like it happened. It's like Return of the Living Dead. It'd be Return of the
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
And how society changed after that. And then like 50 years later, they try it again.
Yeah. That'd be good. That'd be fun. All right. We said that. Would you buy the soundtrack or score on vinyl?
I like it, but it's so manic. I don't know if I would actually play it for pleasure.
Nope. Works great in the movie. Love it in the movie. Wouldn't never listen to it on my own.
Yeah, right. Unless I'm chasing after someone in a car. Like I feel at that point, if you're in a high speed pursuit, get it on your Spotify list. You know what I mean?
You need to have it loaded up. You need to have a Spotify high speed pursuit playlist made already, because you're not going to have time when the time
comes. You're not shuffling
comes
through while trying to drive at the same time. Never do that.
Is anything action figure worthy?
I'm
I'm gonna say no, unless it was a set like you got
a diorama or something.
Well, a diorama for sure. I would want Jack's place with the body on the table, and they're at the bar.
Yeah.
But I figure it really could be any character. You'd probably do, Dr. Bennell. That came with a pod. That's all.
Yes. Oh, totally. I would actually have, I guess this would be proper merchandise, but wouldn't it be amazing to have in your kitchen where you can have your own little herb garden going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as a smaller replica of the greenhouse. So you take the top off and then all the pod people are in there, but you're also you've got
that'd
basil.
Be fun. I'd like that. Well, great. That was your first answer for merch prop or promo item. You got anything else?
Oh, merch. I mean, whoa, absolutely. I want one of those pods.
For prop, 100%. And a promo
100%.
item. 100%. Yeah, I want the one from the lobby.
I would do a pod, a pod sleeping bag.
Yes.
I'm surprised they didn't do that, to be totally honest with you. As hokey. Yeah, exactly. So you sleep looking like a pod person.
I'd love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Midnight showing, throw anything? Snap peas?
I was going to say edamame.
Exactly. And I would definitely do some sort of not catcalling, jeering, sort of whistling and woo type stuff for any of the flirting between Bennell and Becky.
That's true. No, I would have planted actors that would sit next to him and just do that ha 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 ha.
Very amusing. They cut all the humor out. I mean, this is so serious. Popcorn bucket, obvious.
A pod.
Yeah, I think anything outside of that is a mistake, if I'm going to be honest.
I agree with you.
Thank you. And I agree. And you,
sir.
Okay, moving over to our ratings.
I only want your fingers.
Should we all cut our fingers open and bleed on it?
Can you wrap your fingers around this?
I'll take a Voorhees burger and a slide of Jason's fingers.
Show them.
On this show, we like to use a rating of 0 to 5 fingers. Each finger represents a different quality about a movie. You can chop off half a finger, whole finger, no finger, quarter finger. These fingers are intended to be subjective on how we feel about the movie. Doesn't matter if the movie is objectively good or bad, because let's face it, it's all about the reality of our experience.
Ooh.
And your experience. Not our experience. I wasn't trying to be it really only matters what we think.
Yeah, right.
I mean, to an individual. Okay. Enough of that. Engaging. Ross, lay it on me, saucy bossy.
Ooh, okay. Engaging. Gave it a 1. I was engaged the entire time. It
moves fast. It's an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. You buckle up, and we had 16 days to film this.
Yeah.
The movie. Yeah, no, I was engaged the entire time. I think that like I said, it is cool in the fact that by all extents and purposes, it's schlocky, it's weird, but it's also really good premise, and it's a really good idea. You know what I mean? It's amazing how a good idea pulls.
Budget movie with a good idea made well as well. Yes, Don Siegel also did a great job of making the movie. It's just, it's a low budget movie.
It's a low budget 16-day shoot. Yeah, so I'm gonna go engaging. Sticky is gonna get. I mean, this is a tough one. See, I was actually having a lot of problems with the ratings of this because Sticky, like you're saying before, pod person, things around those lines. I knew those terms before watching and seeing the movie.
Right.
So there's a level of stickiness that I feel is almost cheating because I remember a bunch of stuff about just, you know what I mean? So I'm going to give, I think I'm going to give Sticky a 1. Okay. I think also to the benefit, because what you're saying is that Sticky is, it's an hour and 20 runtime. You know what I mean? Where it's like things that I had slightly forgotten. You know what I mean? Because it's at the precipice of like a 0.75 to 1. I'm just going to give it the 1 because the second scene started, I knew exactly what was going to happen next.
Right. Yeah.
So
one of those. You just needed
so like
it to cue
was,
you a little.
Absolutely. It gives me the nudge and then I'm in for the entire ride. T-shirtable's a tough one. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to... I'm going to give T-shirtable I'm going to give it a 0.75. Okay. Because I think it's definitely T-shirtable, but I almost I think just visually, I think I prefer the 78 visuals.
Oh yeah.
To this one, you know what I mean? I think but again, as a concept, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It's not that it looks. I wasn't saying that to disparage this one. There's
no. It's just different flavors ice cream. Yeah. So I would say, that one. Maybe 0.5. No, we'll stick with 0.75. Cockles. Cockles is going to get the full 1.
Wow.
For me, because like it does, because it. Yes, I know it's weird, man. It's weird because it's pod cockles. It's the EBGBs. Like
Chuddle the Pod's nickname.
Pod.
Or it's what we do for you.
Yes, our pod cockles. Because not only is it just a really riveting idea, the cockles, which I guess is also stuck with Sticky, is that like every time I watch this, the idea of this lingers on in my brain for days. Like, this is not one of those where I'm like some other conceptual like horror, like a werewolf movie. Okay, cool. Werewolf movie. Awesome. On to the next thing. When you're dealing with invasion or like people aren't as they seem and like just especially Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
This has got a double thing of like the doppelganger and the you don't know who to trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, and then like,
invasion. Yeah. There's like so many different aspects.
Yes. And then I'm sitting there going like, man, that little kid died. Like that little kid. Yeah. Like that, or just that, I mean, like, man, like how would I be able to differentiate people in time?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And how well, who are you going to like, somebody that you see maybe daily, but it's like, I don't know, your barista or whatever, you probably want to notice with them. But then if it's maybe a coworker who you work with daily for 10 years, maybe you would, but maybe you wouldn't. I can't really tell with that. Does it have to be somebody you need more intimate with?
Yes.
What if it's a brother that you're estranged from? Would you be able to tell then? So there's all sorts of that's why honestly you can also keep redoing it and giving it its own spin every time and all these things.
Yeah, and I think that's only not to the detriment of this movie by any standpoint, but my rewatchable on this, I had it a 0.5, but I almost want to put it as like a 0.25.
Wow.
And it's not because, but it's weird though because it's like
because everything else was a 1 or a 0.7. You got 3 1s and a 0.75, and this is your first one this low. And it's this low rewatchable. And like, it is, which is bizarre, but it's like, but if I had a DVD copy of 58 or 56 or 78, I'm watching 78. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, this is one of those where like, I feel that again, it's a good movie with a great idea. The only reason to watch this one would be more if you were like wanted to watch more of a black and white classic type thing. Yes. Like if you're in the mood for that. And honestly, if I was in the mood for that, I'd probably go for a Hitchcock movie. Yeah. I mean, nothing against this, but just that's typically what I go to anyway.
No, but I think it's the other side of the coin of what we refer to is that this movie has been remade so many times that there's more updated versions of this that hit this point harder.
Well, you know what I mean? yeah, I get it. Cause we'll do my score. I don't know where I'll be. I have an idea of the range, but I know for sure that I I like the Sutherland remake significantly more.
Absolutely. So I think, you know what? I think I might have hit it a little too low with the 0.25. I'm going to give it a 0.5 because it is good. It's just, I think that when you're putting this up to its remakes and also very similar cousins of the same idea, I usually would just spring on those before watching this classic. Although I feel like the classic, this is almost like required reading,
right?
Where I feel like if you're a horror head, like you need to watch this. Like this is such a definitive point in science fiction and particularly science fiction.
It's on my 100 horror movies to watch poster. That's why I watched it.
Yeah.
All right. We will go to myself now. Engaging. I'm going to give a 1. I totally agree. It just starts and it goes. I mean, from him it starts with somebody rushing to the hospital, guy screaming, and then as soon as he gets into town, strange stuff is happening. It's moving. Hour 20. Dig it. Sticky. I was going to give it a 0.75, but hearing some of the things you said about it, I was going to give it a 0.5. I'm giving it a 0.75. I think as far as specifics from what I'm going to remember long term, I'm sure I'm going to forget a lot of details, but conceptually it's sticky, right? Everything we talked about with the who to trust, who not to trust, and it makes me wonder, like, exactly what you said. Would I be able to tell, like, if my wife was potted?
Yeah.
Can I tell? When can I tell? I can't always tell AI art. Sometimes real art, or art done by a person, looks like AI art to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Would you know? And so, yeah, conceptually, I end up thinking about that a lot more than the plot of the film. T-shirtable, I'm going to give 0.5 to. I can't think of anything that stands out imagery wise that I would like as a shirt. But if I saw a cool one, I would absolutely snatch it.
Well played.
But I would also, I'm much more interested in, and it's one of the double-edged sword of there being two versions of it. I'd be on the lookout for the 78 version first.
Yes, I totally, yeah.
Cockles, I think I'll give the 1 to, especially because I want to kick my score up a little bit after it being down before. For all the things we said, for the reasons it's sticky and of its engagement, I like it because it moves. I like it because I like the concept, and I like the black and white sort of classic framing and score and traditional stuff, mechanics of the time. And rewatchable. This one's tricky for me. I'll give it a 0.5. I'm certainly not against watching this at all. I'm also not running to watch it again. It will probably be when I'm fuzzy on the details and want to refresh myself. And I thought I thought I might come in at 3.5-ish, 3.75. Cool. I'm happy to be a little higher on it. So that's only a half a point difference between the two of us. And did Brian tell us anything about this one?
Oh, yeah, I think he did. Hold on, let me pull that up. So we asked him if he had a finger count, and then he said... Oh, we got into a whole rant. Sorry, we're going through.
Yeah. Text message thread gets a little clogged sometimes.
Nope, I skipped it. Hold on. I'm terrible. I'm doing
You're terrible.
terrible right now.
You're
terrible.
terrible.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. Sam. Bloop. Brian, if you watch this one, I want your fingers. Brian. Bloop. 13. Bloop. Out of. Bloop. 19. And then our only response was, that's a lot of pod person fingers, with a response, I collect them.
Yeah.
So Brian's given it a 13 out of 19.
And I think I said something like AI art and pod people, they can't get the fingers right.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so we don't know what Brian's score is, but our score would put it in the Chuddle Club crypt. Who knows if it'd stay there, but between the two of us, Ross, it would be a 4. So that does put it into the crypt. Other 4s include, well, I'll give you a 4.1 real quick. Train to Busan is a 4.1. It's the only one we have. Then we have American Psycho, Overlord, Final Destination 3, Extraordinary, My Bloody Valentine, 1981, Krampus, VHS 94, and that's it. That's all our 4s.
Nice.
I would have thought there would have been more for some reason. So sitting in good company right below that at 3.8, you got Thanksgiving, Child's Play 2, Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Child's Play, Creepshow, The Blair Witch Project, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Quarantine. Wow, we have a lot of 3.8s. Phantasm, We Are Still Here, Freaky, Low Lives, Mother, Club Dread. That's where all the 4s I thought were. And two of you and Brian's absolute favorite horror movies of all time, both sitting at 3.8.
They're knocking at that. So we've got
do we have some club members joining in the Discord?
We do have some club members going in.
Oh, also so I think we should probably talk about this off pod, but now that we've dropped down our club dues for patrons, I think this should be a patron only area where people get to chime in.
Oh,
but
what do you got?
We'll see what happens. We're going to record again in a week or two, so maybe your last chance if you're not a club member.
Hey, you know what? $3 to throw your opinion. That doesn't sound bad to me.
Plus all the other benefits.
Plus all those other benefits, baby. All right. So I'm going to just go by the altered names on the thing. So Gary Busey's teeth chimes in and goes with engaging. 0.5. It's not that I lost focus, but sometimes black and white movies bore me. It didn't bore me, just a bit off-putting. Not off-putting, off-putting.
Oh, off-putting.
Off-putting.
I wouldn't eat that.
I wouldn't eat that pudding. Sticky, 0.75. It was memorable for sure. When Jack breaks that glass in the parlor on his hand, like, what the fuck, Jack? T-shirtable, 0.5. This is a tough one, but I'd wear one of the pods if it was cool enough. Cockles, 0.5. It sure makes me feel something. Pissed off. The way that Benel just treats Becky like a piece of ass just bugged me. Also, Benel should have taken her with him instead of leaving her at the mine. Abso-fucking.
Yes.
Absolutely. Rewatchable, 0.5. I like the Sutherland one much more, but to get a viewing at least once was worth it. At the midnight showing, I'm throwing copycat people with no features and Ambien at the screen. Also, P.S. Eat shit, Benel. Didn't like that. So I was gonna put T-Boo's in, but then he suddenly realized that it was for 78. For 78. So he absolutely did not. He didn't do that.
No problem. Thanks anyway, bud. Oh, and I meant to say Gary Busey's teeth. That's Evan R. Witchy Brethren. He now has a podcast, Kilt in the Redneck, which you can go check out and hear me on there if you want to hear me talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, The Princess Bride. So go check that out on the Kilt in the Redneck.
Kate chimes in as well. We also have it. If it is the black and white Ye Old one you were talking about, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it being very good. I used to be really terrified of this concept, and also Day of the Triffids. Day of the Triffids is so good. It's so
I don't know that
Talk
one.
about just
Is it more people turning into plants?
More. Well, no, it's like plant monsters.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah, I didn't even realize. I'm wearing one of my Troll 2 shirt.
Oh, Nilbog, that's goblin spelled backwards.
It is, yeah. But
This is our
also
kingdom.
plant people.
I think I might do a rewatch before the episode comes out. I will give it a tentative 4 out of 5 pod fingers.
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks. I think
that might be it. No,
I think that's it.
Bunch of silliness. So in the Discord, I always put the movie title as the name of the channel. And this one, I knew there were 2, so I included the year as well. But the movie title's so long, it doesn't show up anywhere.
So sorry, it was kind of a pump fake to our Discord.
Yeah. Well, great. And with our club members chiming in there, that does it. We did it. We did it all. Yeah. I guess I kind of reversed that. We did it all, though. We're here. We did it. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Check your trunks. Check under your bed. Check your cribs. Because there might be a pod.
And then you'll be dead.
Unless it's a Chuddle the Pod.
In which
then
case,
you're in good hands.
Yeah.
You're in good hands.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a little gooey, but nothing wrong with that.
Like a good neighbor, Chuddle is there.
With goo. And that does it for the Chuddle the Club Pod Movie Horror Pod Club meeting for today. Tonight. Whenever.
Tonight.
In time. Throughout the void. Meeting. And that does it for the meeting for the void. Follow Chuddle the Pod on Instagram and Slasher. Well, actually, I need to change that. I don't do Slasher anymore. I mean, we're on there, but I haven't been on there in a long time. Threads, I'm on often. I pretty much run our Instagram and Threads. But that's all just posting about the pod. If you really want to hang with me or brag, that all happens in the Discord. Ross pops in sometimes too. Otherwise, at Ross Purvis on Instagram for his paying bills work. He's a tattooist. And if you're interested in getting tattooed and you're in the Central Florida area, hit him up. Especially if you want something horror related, he'd love to do it.
You want a pod person? I'm down.
Yeah. And you can buy his art too. Enough plugging Ross's real job. Now, you can follow all of us on Letterboxd if you want to know what movies we're seeing and rating and things like that. I'm Chuddle the Sam. He's Chuddle the Ross. We got Chuddle the Brian with a Y. Please jump in the Discord. We have a lot of fun in there. It's where I do most of my socializing these days, if I'm going to be honest. And just to make it easy for you, all of that is in our show description for the episode. The next movie we have coming, we mentioned it earlier, Spiral from 2000, based on the Japanese comic book.
Yep. The Junji Ito manga.
There you are. Thank you for being here, Ross.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Brian, thank you for being here in spirit.
Yes.
And until next time, avoid the time loop.